Hey everybody, it's Perch. We're doing this again. Here's a handful of comics, 6 comics that came out this week. So, quick reviews. Like last time, this is not meant to go into the details and nuance of these comics. It's not going to go into any kind of depth, but it should be fun. This is just basically 2 minutes or less on each comic, and we'll see what we think. We'll see if you like any of these. Let me know in the comments below what you really enjoyed this week. Was it one of these? Was it something else? Would love to hear about it. Okay, this is Astonishing X-Men number 13. This is an Infinity comic, which means it's kind of online. It gets printed at some point. Basically, this comic, the Infinity comics in general do not have a lot going on in them, but in this one, we basically have Banshee, Sean Cassidy, in the Keep. He's hanging out with Paige. Cassidy seems to be seeing a leprechaun to just kind of keep him company. Paige is just looking on the internet and searching through message boards to find a sewer of anti-mutant misinformation and Genosha memes, death threats, the works. It's basically her complaining about Twitter. She goes out for a run, and she gets kind of bumped, tears her arm, just rips the skin off, leaves it on the ground, gross, and scares a local. Meanwhile, there's a subplot or a secondary story about a guy who is trying. He's behind on child support, so the mom won't let him in to see his daughter. He's struggling a little bit in construction, and we learn that the reason he's struggling in construction is that New York's construction has been taken over by mutants who can weld things with their fingers or whatnot. We get reintroduced to Skin, who is able to lift kind of wrenches and tools by stretching his body, and that's our comic. So that's what happens there. Okay, and then we have another Infinity Comics. This is Astonishing Avengers number 7. This is the fourth team. It's hard to tell what's going on. But anyway, this has Daredevil, Monica Rambeau, Shang-Chi, and they're going up against this kind of demon character who has transformed the Wasp into kind of her 90s Wasp demon version. Anyway, there's a lot of talking in this. It's basically Steve Orlando's on writing, and the characters are kind of threatening each other back and forth. But ultimately, there's not much of a threat here. The Wasp attacks her former teammates. We get a shot of her using a little electroshock to take off the tip of Shang-Chi's ear, which feels a little bit on the nose, but whatever. So they have this battle. Ultimately, Elektra uses her mind powers, her focus of concentration, to enter the Wasp's mind, assassinate the evil spirit in there, get her back to being a human, and then we're back to fighting the main villain again. So that this issue is a battle, and it's got a lot of kind of threats, and I'm strong, and I will avenge myself on you. We'll see where it all goes. So that's what happens here. Okay, this is West Coast Avengers number 5. It's Jerry Duggan and Danny Kim as the art. So basically in this comic, the Avengers are being basically pestered by the East Coast Avengers, Vision and Storm in this case, about how Tony Stark is trying to rehabilitate Ultron. Well, this adventure immediately segues into the Avengers taking on the clone Steve Rogers, or maybe it's the real Steve Rogers, I don't know, whatever, the bad guy from Secret Empire. And he's taken on a new identity as Flag Smasher, and the Avengers basically show up and just, after a fairly short battle, just mess him up real good. We get a scene where everybody gets to punch him. I mean, technically Firestar doesn't, and then Blue Bolt kind of just yells, but then Ultron, War Machine, Iron Man, and then Spider-Girl just kind of stands over him like she's going to pee, and they tackle him. So they basically, and it's kind of insinuated that he let himself get captured. But the rest of the issue is really made up for with Firestar realizing she has to go into rehab. So she does. And in the end, the Blue Bolt, who's the reformed villain of the group, decides he doesn't want to be called Blue Bolt anymore and would rather be called Wonder Man. And that's it. Oh, sorry. At the very end, the Avengers show up and they're like, "What are you doing here with Ultron?" And that's our comic. This is issue 5. This comic is not going anywhere. Plus, it has some really weird illustrations, but that's what you got. All right, Amazing Spider-Man number 69. Nice. This is the penultimate, or fancy word for saying this is the issue before the end of the 8 deaths of Spider-Man. So in this comic, Spider-Man is dead. He is kind of hanging out, and what's going on is to put it simply, there's some mystic gods kind of screwing around, and they've been testing Spider-Man. And they one of them decides he's sick of this game, so he kind of infects himself or he gets taken over by the Blight. And the Blight is kind of pseudo mind control, messing up with people, and there's some incest maybe there. It's a little unclear, but anyway, he's messing things up. One of the villains that was going for trying to defeat Spider-Man has a change of heart, and she basically gives up her powers in order to bring Peter Parker back to life, which does happen. So she brings him back to life. He is thankful, by this trade, and then he kind of gets his costume back pretty slowly, and ultimately sees Spider-Man turn into the Juggernaut. And by turning into the Juggernaut, he is able to go defeat Krytorok. How do you pronounce this guy's name? I don't know. We've got a lot of unpronounceable names. We got Calix, who is infected with the Blight. He's taking on his mentor / father figure, Krytorok. Kaito Rock. Anyway, that's what he's doing. And ultimately, what this means is Spider-Man comes back to life, becomes the Spider Juggernaut, and then he's going to go try and defeat the bad guy. So one more issue of this, and then we get more Spider-Man. That's kind of what happens. Okay, this is DC versus Vampires. This is issue number 7, and it's actually a pretty good comic. So this is Matt Rosenberg, Otto Schmidt, and basically we've reached the point in the story where everything is pretty effed up. So the heroes / humans have tried to bargain / negotiate / double cross / get a handle on the vampires, and that has gone wrong. So in the midst of all this, a bunch of parademons and Darkseid have arrived, and now everybody's killing everyone. So this comic is by and large just filled with vampire DC heroes, just fighting parademons. There's a cool scene with Grodd and Jade, who are both vampires, and Jade's like, I'm going to bite one of these parademons, and it's filled with acid or something, but it basically fucks her up pretty good. Grodd is just kind of pissed off by this whole thing. Barbara Gordon, who is the queen of the vampires, is pretty messed up. The heroes are trying to desperately get away on big trucks, because that's what you do. We get a big scene where Wonder Woman's fighting Darkseid, and Darkseid's basically like, go fuck yourself. And this issue is just pretty much bananas with various DC superheroes, human and vampirized heroes, trying to survive, and nobody doing a good job of that. So the Darkseid curb stomps and just F's up Wonder Woman pretty good. He goes off in search of Batwoman. The heroes meet up with Metron, and they're trying to just figure out, is there any out here? And we get the final reveal in this comic as Mara, who is also vampirized, learns that Mr. Miracle and the baby, who are somehow important to this whole thing, are still alive. This comic is almost all every page kind of action and insanity. If you're looking for a deep story, something with a lot of meaning, you're not going to get it here. I mean, the closest you're going to get is the backup story, which is Animal Man being slowly just consumed and turned into a vampire and messed up. He's being fed on. We get a little sequence where we learn the animals themselves are also being turned into vampires. It's a messed up backup story, but the main comic is pretty much just fucking crazy, and as a result, it's pretty enjoyable. You're not asked to think about it too much, and you don't need to. So, DC versus Vampires, World War V, probably one of the better books this week, if I'm being honest. Okay, so this is Geiger number 12. Now, Geiger is a book I've enjoyed a lot. It's from Ghost Machine. It's all kind of sitting in this imprint. It's doing really, really great work. So this is Jeff Johns. This is Gary Frank on this. And this comic really has kind of one singular purpose. It's getting Geiger, our hero, the guy who's been in these comics. He's met the glowing woman, and she's more in control of her powers. She's just learned to live without the rods. She's figured out how to control what's going on a little bit better, and she's trying to kind of train him. So you have some reasonable dialogue, some freaky waste world type people. If you're a fan of things like Fallout, there's probably some appeal here. But basically, she's trying to train him to control his powers and basically take ownership over his kind of radioactive his nature, and not rely on external sources to do it. So he tries a few times, ultimately fails. This allows us to get a picture of her. She also has the same power, but we get a pretty cool image of kind of her revealing her powers to him for the first time. They're bonding. I mean, he's learning to trust her. She's saying she will help him, and he's going to kind of hang out in this compound. It's just adding to the lore of this character. Now we do learn, like, big shock, that at the very end she's hiding some secrets, because of course she is, and this is all going to ultimately come down to the two of them fighting, with the secrets of the glowing woman being revealed, and going up against our glowing man, in this case Geiger. So anyway, probably, issue 13 is the next issue feels like it's gonna be an origin story, and then issue 14 is probably where everything goes to shit. So it's pretty good. This is a good comic. It slows the pace a little bit, but still you're getting really good quality world building and characterization here. So it's a good book. Some action, some dialogue. It's is it a Netflix series yet? It feels like it's about to be. So Geiger number 12, pretty damn good. All right, that's all we got. Well, let's close with another clip that my daughter enjoys. And otherwise, thanks for listening.
We are about